I always say from step 4 on now through to 9, this is the part, phase 2, I call invoking the shift. So here, what we've done, we've got them to accept, basically, or they've accepted that, you know, they've developed a destructive drinking habit due to trying to escape the curriculum of life. They've crossed the abreactive threshold, and they realise that they've got fears, guilt, pain and futility that they're trying to escape from. Okay, now what we need to shift the consciousness, to shift their thinking. We need to enable them to shift the thinking. We don't shift the thinking. I must make that distinction. It's for them to do it, but we enable. That's what we are, we're enablers. So we're going into invoking the shift. Okay, so here, step 4 says, aspire to invoke a major shift in consciousness by allowing life to unfold from the wisdom of our indwelling divinity. Okay, what does that mean? Thus far, we've been talking about part of our mind that's chaotic, part of our mind that's polluted, the psychological level of our mind, if you like. And we're doing work on that. We're starting work. In a sense, this one is a gesture, and it's awareness that if we transcend that psychological chaos in our mind, that there's an unblemished part of ourselves. And there's many words that are bandied about to describe this part of ourselves. And these words are soul, higher self, intuitive self, unconditioned self. I like to call it the wise witness within. Buddhists may call it the observer. Some people call it the silent witness. I refrain from the silent witness because I believe this part of us does relay messages to us. You know, other people might even simply call it the guardian angel. It doesn't matter. That they're facets of our being which knows the right response to every situation. And people who meditate a lot, they know this. It's something that I've experienced in my life. And at this point in time, all we're doing is acknowledging that there may be a part of us that transcends the psychological domain where all our chaos resides, that there's a part of us that's unblemished. Now, I've given a list of names there because some people don't like the connotations of the word soul as it has religious connotations. So it doesn't matter what we label it. I must make that very, very clear. This is not a religious program. I'm not a religious person. I do have spiritual beliefs, but they're not tied into any religious dogma. Saying that, for anybody who does adhere to a certain religious path, such as Catholicism, Buddhism or whatever, then use the higher self or the concept of the soul or whatever concept, you know, Catholicism, you know, the concept of the soul is fine. The higher self, if we want to use that, the observer, the label really doesn't matter. It's the idea that's important. And here sometimes we need an oasis. Sometimes in AA they use, you know, turn it over to the God of your understanding. Here we're not using that phraseology. What we're saying here is that we're making an acknowledgement that there may be, or you know, there is, a part of us that's beyond conditioning, an unblemished part of ourselves that knows the right response to every conceivable situation. And what we're doing here is just a simple gesture of saying on a daily basis, I hand this day over to that part of me that knows the right conceivable action to every conceivable problem, Right? So it's a gesture, that's all it is. And it's something that works very, very well for people. And here's an idea of what I may say to myself. Today I allow every situation to unfold from the wisdom of my indwelling divinity. Okay, you can use today. I allow every situation to unfold from the wisdom within me, my higher self, my soul, whichever terminology suits you. In doing so, I rest assured that I will meet every situation in a way that enhances my life and the lives of all those I encounter. It's a simple gesture. This is to start to initiate that shift in consciousness. What this does, by the way, really, this is suggestion. We're suggesting to our unconscious mind that we want to think about every situation that comes out. Instead of in the past where we've acted robotically to different situations and we've perhaps took wrong action, here what we're saying, when we make this suggestion to our unconscious mind by saying this actual phrase, we're bringing our awareness, we're raising our awareness, because what we're going to think of every time a situation comes up, we'll think about what we said in the morning, and that way we'll bring our life into consciousness. We'll stop living unconsciously, robotically, automatically, and we'll start thinking and we'll start living our life consciously. What this does is open the door for step 5 in many ways. But for those who have got a profound religious belief, or for those who've got a profound spiritual belief, if you believe that you've got this higher self, this soul, then hand your life over, hand your day over to the wisdom of that. And I would even go one step further in that, converse with this part of you as though it's a person. Tell this part of you what your needs are. But, you know, so many of us, or people who are religious, or people who are spiritually minded, will say a prayer or an intention, which is the same thing. And they're quite, you know, they will say the prayer. But surely, if we believe in something beyond ourselves, it's not too much to ask for a response. The problem is most people don't listen for the response. You know, they will say the prayer, they will give the intention, but they don't sit in quietness and hear, try and listen to the voice of their inner wisdom, or of the soul, or of God, or Atman, or whatever particular terminology you want to use, your unblemished self, your intuitive self, your unconditioned self. You don't have to be spiritually minded, you can keep it on a psychological basis. But let's say our inner wisdom. And part of this philosophy is about sitting down and accessing that. It's very difficult, granted, when your head is chaotic, because we have to break through the domain, the psychological domain, where all the chaos resides, and quieten that down to listen. But step 4 is just literally the start of a lifelong and very rewarding, you know, way of being in the world. It's a procedure that you will utilise throughout your life, I can assure you. So that's all. Step 4 is very, very simple, really. It's about acknowledging a part of us that's unblemished, a wise part of ourselves, and making the gesture that every time we encounter something that may perplex us or might throw us off balance, that we think about this higher part of ourselves and we say, what would you do in this instance? It makes us think about each situation in our life at the least. But there's so many things to gain from that. But like I say, it does start bringing our life into consciousness, rather than living it unconsciously, robotically.